Jackson. Hightower. Travis.
Okay, you're coming straight regional, now for the facilities committee, okay? Any old business? Under new business, I would just like to begin if I could, everyone, I'm doing this for function about an hour or so ago, and I was looking at it, so try to set a good example here. But the race is special day, this is final board meeting, on the board meeting. And if I got this correct, Mrs. Vince began with District 87 on July 1st, 2009. And Mrs. Vince, I worked with you that entire time. I was principal at the time. And I learned a lot from you then. And these last several years as superintendent, I've learned a lot from you as well. And you have a little gift on behalf of the Board of Education. And it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you for the past 15 years. On behalf of the Board of Education, please accept that little something there. And we just wanted to say thank you, Mr.
They're beautiful. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have Dan Critta with Old Architects here to give us some updates on the various projects that are taking place.
And just our team echoes the same sentiment of having the pleasure working for. It's been absolutely wonderful, and we've had some great results to show for it. So thank you. So tonight I'll just give you a quick update on some of the projects that are in progress. They're nothing quite large as we've been in the past, but we have the maintenance drive addition going on at the end of this building, and that now they'll be finishing up their site work this week. They're getting prepped for concrete pours and the site concrete through this week. Then we're waiting for one approval on some structural steel that they're submitting to us to make sure that they can purchase that. They said that'd be about a 1 week timeline to purchase the steel for the roof. And then they'll erect the steel. It's about a 3-day process. So that may happen prior to the 4th of July, but it'll be very close. We'll be pumping up to that date. And then the roof system, they're also going to be prepping this week to make sure they have everything in place for the roof to go on after that. And that's probably going to be about a 3-day process as well. So you'll see the full enclosure here. By the 4th of July, you should see a lot of activity to kind of round out what's left on the site. And then there'll be some fine tuning that the week after the 4th of July that you'll see things wrap up. Obviously, we're doing our punch list and making sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. We've got a lot of conversations with that contractor along the way to answer their questions. The other project, storage related, is at Riley. The storage shed will be placed. They just got an update today on the date for that setting. They'll be setting that storage unit. It's a precast concrete unit if we recall, and that looks like it'll be July 8th. That'll actually be set. It moved from July 2nd to 8th due to some backup on some hardware purchases or ordering that they did. But we feel pretty confident based on the contractor's input that the week of July 8th that'll be set, and then they'll come in and do their final electrical tie-ins, which is simply lighting and power to that shed unit. And that basic project will be wrapped up as well. So the week after the 4th of July, you'll see quite a bit of activity, things kind of coming to a close. The other projects that we've been investigating, the North Lake moisture issue in the basement. The testing company mobilized last Thursday, actually did their hand auger testing in the basement. And we had a brief conversation with their lead principal this afternoon, but we're going to take that to another level of conversation this week, the next couple of days here, probably roll in the district as well, so the questions can be answered. But what they did find, they did 2 soil borings. They found that over the concrete slab, there was about 7 to 9 inches of gravel. That gravel was saturated. They were having to vacuum the moisture out of it just to keep doing their hand augering to go a little deeper. And what they ran into is very dense clay. So It's somewhat informative that we're likely not seeing that water percolating up from below because of the density of clay, but there definitely is saturation right below the floor slab there. So it's just now detecting is it coming in from the side or from grade and dropping down and finding its way underneath there, but it's likely not percolating from below. So we're trying to kind of rule out where the sources are so we know what the best solution will be. The early discussions, this is nothing official, is probably doing an edge drain where we cut a drain along the inside of that concrete floor from the perimeter and then run that through a sump basin so it can tie into the current sump and get pumped out of the building. That's very high level right now, but we're going to keep working towards what's the best way to capture that moisture before it can get into the building through the floor slab. Last update on project wise, we had a conversation our team did with Mr. Byrd on setting up what are the standards or criteria for the Jefferson and Whittier gymnasiums to make sure that they have the projection capabilities and the audio capabilities to match the other schools. And that project we're putting together a budget together right now. Looks like it's going to be somewhere in the 130,000 per building. That's all in cost, but we'll refine that and getting a proposal to the district so we can move that forward with the target timeline of next summer. I think it goes year. Right. Unless we can do something during the school year, but the bulk of that probably happens in the summer of 25. And then just a follow up on commissioning, just a more clarification. Both North Lake and Riley, as well as Sunnyside McCarthy, we did do a full blown HVAC commissioning process, which brought a third party in and did tested the equipment and went out of the building, kind of put it through its paces to make sure that things are running properly. As part of that, all the major equipment is tested and they call it tested balance, but they're actually taking readings at all the vents in the room to understand that we're getting the right cubic feet per minute of air coming. So all that took place, and what they didn't do, or they don't typically do, is every single what they call a variable air volume. But I won't get in the weeds, but it's a unit that serves each and every room. That's usually monitored by the controls panel, so you can see if something's not working. And I know Dale's been working with the controls contractor to kind of iron out those little bugs in those, because sometimes the damp will lock out or it'll be too loose. And working with controls, they can usually identify that. And sometimes it's like a programming issue too, that they're not getting the right signal to a certain piece of equipment. So those things will kind of continue over time, but you have a controls contractor that is your ally in that process that will help work out those little bugs as you go along. And sometimes the weather changes and the seasonal changes will trigger some of those surprises too. So you have to go back in and make sure things are programmed properly.
That was the question, and then Mr. Chavez said we just want to follow up.
Yeah. Any questions on any of those topics?
The ground would more quick.
So typically when they build that building way back when, they usually put a gravel subgrade down and then pour the concrete floor slab above that. So we're seeing that gravel subgrade. That was all intentional to kind of brace the concrete, but that's more porous. So if there's moisture getting in, that's usually where we'll find it is there. If there's not pressure to that, it'll try to make its way up into the building. And so I think what we're seeing is that because they were able to drill through that slab into that gravel, and there's so much moisture there that we know it's coming in from somewhere, just likely not from below. So we're kind of ironing out if it's gray water getting down inside of the building and coming in, or is there something laterally, but there's so much of a moisture charge in that soil there that it just continues to push towards the building. It's just finding its path of least resistance. So we'll keep monitoring that and come up with a solution so we get the district informed of what the best. These are a little mysterious, the dynamics of the subsoils and the construction process. Says something that has got to change a little bit and how that the whole site operated from a hydraulic standpoint. But we're at least working through with the testing company to get some answers on it.
Is there a time frame for that?
Well, the goal would be to have that in place prior to school starting. We just got to make sure that whatever solution we mobilize on solves the problem. And that's the part we don't want to We don't want to go any cut up floor and put a drain tile and find out that's not solving the issue, so the hope would be to have that done before school.
Have a question for the Thank you.
That's.
Thank you, Jason. Anything else, Mr. Wood?
No, that's it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the facility. Ms. Espinosa and Ms. Walker, roll call please.
Hightower,
Aye.
Mason. Present. Aye. Warren. Aye. Espinosa. Aye. Walker. Aye. Motion carried.
As always, you're welcome to stay for another movie. Okay. Nice. Ready, board meeting, please, a roll call?
Walker.
Here.
Espinosa. Here. Warren. Here. Mason. Present. Hightower.
Yes. Public hearing.
Public hearing, and actually have the state forms. So the summary that I provided, that we provided this afternoon to the board, the overall total changed very, very slightly, went down just a little bit, but the primary change in the amended budget from the budget adopted in September was due to the negotiation settlement and having the new salaries included into the budget, calculated for the budget and this year's expenditure. So it includes a salary, new changes to benefits, and extra duty that was with the certified staff contract. I did update any changes for revenues. The interest earned was higher than we anticipated. And then there were a couple of grants that we received that we did not account for. We weren't aware that we were going to get them at the beginning of the year when we adopted the budget. So those are primarily the changes in the amended budget. And so the actual budget will be presented to the board for adoption during the regular board meeting. And are there any questions from the board?
Any questions? No, but the process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public participation, really, we ask the board accepted the business response, so we can do that. Take a motion. Six, Wilson, and Ms. Moore, roll call please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Mason. Aye. Warren. Aye. Espinosa. Aye. Walker. Aye. Motion carried.
And then we may have a public comment.
Yes. Public comment, Ms. Maria Escobedo and Ms. Chaparro, the topic of statement or question is dual language, special education, and bullying. Let me step forward. May we remind you 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Escobedo, and I'm here representing some parents of Berkeley District 87. Our first petition is the dual language. We first presented it June last year of 2023, and then we presented it again on September with a letter in the petition with some signatures of the parents who were interested on the program. But I just want you to take into account that the number of the signatures that I collected is just very limited to the parents that I saw only during the pickup hours. And I stopped collecting signatures. Today we are here again requesting the dual language program for our students. We know this is a long process, but please take into consideration. The treasurer will find a list of parents that are not here present, but I called them individually and they gave me the authorization to represent them because they're very interested in this dual language program, just like I am. We also, I will hand it in the petition with the dual language, the name of the parents. And the last petition that we did it, a copy of the last petition that we did it on September 7, 2023. And she has some.
Yeah, hi, good evening. My name is Ayesha Parro. So like she mentioned it also about the dual languages help to kids with this special education. They can get like my daughter, as an example, the dyslexia. They get more the Spanish more easier. So that one actually is gonna be help even more our community. And also I have the investigation of that data, so I can give you the information of the data. You can have any opportunity to look at it. And also I have additional information for your language. For the state of Illinois, I already talked with them and they're really willing to help us. And also, for help with the family resources, will be educated as well. So they need to get some, like, online as well. So even if it works. So I think that's just a complete information, and then they can simplify for everybody. Oh, I might be going to play again. I don't know.
Thank you. Okay.
We know that writing those dual language is very challenging, especially for the short staff. I also want to point out this highlighted parent. She told me that she's a teacher, a bilingual teacher, and she's willing to help with anything you guys needed. Like she's willing to work for the district if there's another position. I'll give this to you.
And also. I'm sorry.
So this is the petition that we requested this year, and this is this year, and that was the last year.
Thank you, Mrs. Escobedo.
And also because this is a community, like Mr. Escobedo mentioned, is no overnight. So that is the community more involved and make it more easier. So I sent one email as well to the mayor of the Berkeley, the major, Mr. Lee, the President Lee. So he has a copy of this thing. So this information, I'm sorry, and so we can be more together. And also I spoke with the library for Berkeley as well. So they're willing also, if we hire one of those companies for educated parents, they're willing to use the library as well for educating us.
So there's also on the petition, we're also requesting for us as parents to get trained for parents who have students with disabilities. Like, how can we help them? And I don't.
Yes, there's all the companies is there, like I mentioned in the paper, all the companies that are willing to help us as family help. So this is the resources, and then we're waiting for the start when you guys get it ready. And we're ready.
We want to thank you guys for your attention. What we're gonna do, we're gonna give that direction to the superintendent. And then you can back up them. Yes, that should be a parent teacher advisory issue, am I correct? Yeah, okay. So let's see if this actually involved as well. And we'll get back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. Yes.
Consideration of old business. You asked the board approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of May 20th, 2024. Yeah, motion. Ms. Walker and Ms. Exponosa. Roll call, please.
Walker. Aye. Espinosa. Aye. Mora. Aye. Mason.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
The rest of the board approved the minutes from the closed session of April 22nd, 2024.
Get a motion? Mr. Mason and Ms. Miller, roll call please.
Espinosa. Aye. Mora. Aye. Mason. Aye. Hightower.
Aye.
Walker. Aye. Motion carried.
Okay, for reports, no old business, excuse me, for the superintendent.
Business? No business.
I do. That the Board of Education approve the accounts and claims payable authorization as presented, and there were no questions this month.
Okay, a motion? Ms. Moore and Ms. Ball, roll call please.
Mora. Aye. Mason. Aye. Hightower.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Walker. Aye. Motion carried.
And the monthly building rental report is included in your packet for your review, and this is informational purposes only. Thank you.
Travis?
Oh,
Business? Kid? Any other old business?
No business, just for the information, Mrs. Zimmerman is not able to make it tonight. But no old business.
Good. We're gonna do it in a closed session. How long? I don't know. All right,
As soon as possible.
okay, as soon as possible. All right, so we'll get back in a couple minutes. We're going to close session.
Thank you everyone for coming. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Walker, Ms. Mason, roll call.
Walker. Aye. Espinosa. Aye. Mora. Aye. Mason.
New business reports. For board reports, Ms. Walker, anything to report?
No. However, I'm on the PAEC and Mrs. Mason and I were changing. She's doing PAEC and I'm gonna do IASB.
Good. So you got that? You those things? Okay, so nothing to report.
Nothing to
This what about you?
Nothing to report.
Okay. This, and here we have facilities meeting before this one, all the minutes are part of the board package. Okay, Ms. Akino's will be your board. Ms. Moore?
Nothing to report.
All right, go right into superintendent.
Thank you, sir. Licensed personnel resignation, we ask that the board accept the resignation of the following personnel as presented.
Take a motion. Ms. Walker and Ms. Moore, roll call please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Walker. Aye. Espinosa.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the board approve the licensed personnel leave of absence requests as presented for Daniel Barrett, Shonda Morrison, and Desiree Watts.
Take a motion. Ms. Walker and Ms. Espinosa, roll call please.
Walker. Aye. Mason.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the board approve the leave assignment of the following personnel. Allison Tomasi from Sunnyside, third grade shelter teacher to second grade teacher at Jefferson School effective at the beginning of the 24-25 school year.
Take a motion. Ms. Walker and Ms. Espinosa, roll call please.
Mora.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Walker. Aye. Motion carried.
We ask that the board employ the following teachers effective August 19th, 2024, pending all employment paperwork. Cassandra Dane, second grade teacher, Whittier. Kyra McGee, second grade teacher, Whittier. Vidya Solaris, fourth grade teacher, Riley. Nina Patel, English language arts teacher, North Lake Middle School. Annabelle Calderman, English language arts teacher, North Lake Middle School. Sarah Pukuri, instructional coach, North Lake Middle School. Mark Hahn, math teacher, North Lake Middle School. Cassandra Albrecht, art teacher, North Lake Middle School. And Leah Roy Steinman, ESL shelter teacher, Sunnyside.
Okay, good, all right. Motion. Ms. Espinosa and Ms. Walker. Roll call, please.
Mason.
Aye.
Hightower,
Aye.
Espinosa,
Hi.
Mora,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
motion carried.
And a big thank you to our administrators and Mrs. Travis for all the work they've done in those hires. We're proud of them.
Yeah.
Thank you. We ask that the board approve the educational support staff leave of absence requests as presented for Azucensa Silva, Laura Mata, and Melvin Williams.
I get a motion. Ms. Walker and Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
Walker,
Aye.
Espinosa,
Hi.
Mora,
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hightower,
Aye.
motion carried.
We ask that the board accept the following resignations: Barbara Blazek, lunchroom monitor, North Lake Middle School; Juanita Medlock, lunchroom monitor, North Lake Middle School; and Brenda Donald, lunchroom monitor, Sunnyside.
Get a motion. Ms. Espinosa and Ms. Moore. Roll call, please.
Mason.
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Espinosa,
Hi.
Mora,
Aye.
Hightower,
Aye.
motion carried.
We ask that the board employ the following personnel: Jessica Allerton, Ivelis Rivera, and Rosa Rodriguez.
I get a motion. Ms. Walker. Ms. Mason. Roll call, please.
Espinosa,
Hi.
Walker,
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Mason. Mora,
Aye.
motion carried.
We ask the board terminate probationary employee Laura Mata, effective at the end of the 2023-2024 school year, as discussed in closed session.
Get a motion. Ms. Mason and Ms. Walker. Roll call, please.
Mason.
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Espinosa,
Hi.
Mora,
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We ask that the Board of Education approve our contract with the West 40 System of Support for ongoing school improvement. The work with West 40 is entirely grant funded, and that's part of our schools being in status, and they are our new partner to work with to help improve not only overall reading and math scores and our social emotional learning implementation, but also our special education student group and our English learning student groups. We ask that the board approve the contract with West 40 System of Support for ongoing school improvement as presented.
Get a motion. Ms. Walker, Ms. Mason. Roll call, please.
Walker,
Aye.
Hightower,
Aye.
Espinosa,
Hi.
Mora,
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Which is, okay, we ask that the board approve our school improvement plans. And actually, that is going to be hold off on them because I think I went out of order there. Just like to check, make sure I didn't miss anything. Since everything is not here, I just want to make sure I get everything. Okay. I think that is it. Then I'll jump in during the presentation for curriculum. Mrs. Hennigan and Dr. Mizonic are going to help with that. I did want to do one other thing, which is in my oral report, to mention I'll be working with Mr. Chavez and Mr. Jackson. We need to meet. They are the board members who are on the board policy committee. And as we're moving toward Press Policy Plus, I need to meet with them and the press policy representative and Mrs. Flores to make sure that we're able to move to the press policy adoption process. So I'll be in touch with them about that. And then one other thing is the Triple I conference will be taking place next November. So that is the conference that I want to say several board members attended last year. So we will send the information out for this year, and if you would give the information back to Mrs. Flores, if you're interested in attending. I believe the dates come out, it's in November. I'll get that all in the weekly memo so you can plan. And it's going to be held downtown again at Sheraton and a few of the other hotels that are nearby. So unless there are any questions, that's the end of it. So let's see, Dr. Mizanic, she is next. Yes, so we have, I think it's actually Mrs. Helligan first. For an overview of our multilingual teaching instruction model. And then Dr. Mizanic is going to give us district data presentation. Then we'll do the school improvement.
And Laura, then we'll come back to you, okay?
Hi, how are you?
Well,
I'm really excited to bring this report to you. And just compliment, so you have a copy of this report in the Word packet, and Mr. Barnes projected it as well. So Berkeley School District 87 partnered with Catalyst for Education, Educational Change to conduct a voluntary audit of our multilingual programming. We wanted to gain insight from our stakeholders to make sure that our programming was still meeting the needs of our scholars and of our stakeholders. We had 5 focus groups that were interviewed, and the focus groups were made up of parents, teachers, paraprofessionals, administrators. And yes, and the audit also included classroom observations. Our auditor went into about three classes and all 6 buildings. So all 6 buildings were observed. The results of this effort are what I'm going to summarize for you tonight. So I'm going to take all the pieces and just kind of give you a brief overview. I would like to add that many of the recommendations that I'm going to talk about tonight will not only benefit our current identified multilingual learners, but also our former multilingual learners, as well as our student body as a whole. And are truly identified. So a lot of our strengths are also opportunities to reinforce what we're already doing. It's my goal to move our programming from compliance to excellence. And we're going to be working on them together over the next few years. The audit indicated strengths and opportunities, and some of the strengths are the district's existing program initiatives are crafted to facilitate equitable access for multilingual learners. Classroom environments promote peer interaction and academic content. We have a dedicated group of multilingual professionals who play a pivotal role in our students' education of English learning English. Administrators and support staff function as primary liaisons for our families and our educational community. We have provided professional development opportunities to all of our staff. And we use data-driven methods to support instructional designs and decisions. Family engagement opportunities are provided to our multilingual learner families. So now I'm going to get into some of the suggestions, and I would like to point out that at the end of the audit summation, we were given 4 recommendations, but within each of these 4 recommendations were many opportunities. And so to make sure that we are working towards something that is attainable and sustainable, I have chosen a few of the opportunities from each of the areas. The first area recommended that we align program design with current research and theory, that we implement dedicated instructional time for language acquisition, and that we articulate clear program goals and vision to stakeholders. I'm not going to read all the bullet points, but if you have a question, let me know. Recommendation number 3 asks that we implement the WIDA standards across all settings that we provide professional development on language acquisition, and that we prioritize the integration of language proficiency standards into our instruction. We had some recommendations in the area of personnel. And those recommendations will allow us to continue our partnership with University of St. Francis to offer ESL endorsements to any of our teachers who qualify. And then professional development to implement ongoing job embedded professional development for all faculty, and to encourage broad participation to enhance educator capacity. Some of the things that were recommended are some things that we're going to be able to implement right away with our multilingual learner summer task force. We'll work on these, and some of the recommendations are going to take a period of time to implement. We are working, we already have a process for utilizing data to drive our instruction intentionally, but we're going to dig a little deeper into that. While the audit did not specifically state that we need to change our current program model, I would be remiss if we did not explore other program designs. So during our multilingual learner task force this summer, we will begin to explore other program models. Research and implementation are not an overnight process. This work will begin in the summer and continue through the next school year and beyond. Things that can be implemented for next school year are updating the guide for teaching newcomers, establishing writing user-friendly program descriptions and expectations for our current programming. We do already have these descriptions in place, but they're written in, technical education speak. So they're very hard to digest for someone who's not an educator. So I would like to rewrite those so that they are a little bit more user-friendly. Develop templates and examples of language objectives, and establish a protocol for all teachers to utilize access scores and data to drive intentional planning. We're going to create a list and resources for many professional development opportunities that will be delivered by our multilingual specialists, and they'll be delivered at staff meetings and team meetings or in a PLC, and they'll be just very short, informative sessions. Establish an implementation rollout of the WIDA standards to be referenced and utilized during intentional planning. The WIDA standards are the Illinois' adoption for our English learners, and they work side by side with our Common Core standards, but it's really important that we understand the WIDA standards and how they work to bridge language and content. And part of the task force will determine additional work to be completed and carried out with the audit recommendations, and we'll create a timeline for the work. I think I sped through that, but do you have any questions?
Are there any questions? That was very good. Very good. No questions.
I'm very excited for this work. I'm very excited for the opportunity to, as I said, to move from compliance to excellence. Our scholars deserve it, and our teachers are capable and ready to make these changes.
And when will be the next update to the book? It's a good presentation. Next update.
The summer task force will be through the month of July, so you could probably expect another update at the August board meeting.
Look forward.
Okay.
Job.
And I'd like to thank Mrs. Henning, and she's coming up on her 1-year anniversary as our director of multilingual learning. Nice job.
Yeah. 1 month and 1 minute is being. It's on my birthday. In 1 year and in 1 month. Very important. Yes.
Good job. Don't bring it is.
This is Dr. Myzant has a data update to give us, which Mrs. Zimmerman was planning to do last month, but we ran out of time. So we tabled it this month. And we got something.
No problem. I know that last month you were able to receive a similar presentation in your board packet. I did want you to know that the one that you received this month is slightly different. I did some updates because we have a month more of data and we have our end of year data in there. So if anything looks different, that would be why you're missing those changes. So, and I know annual review of data is a little intense because there are so many different things that we're looking at. I tried to synthesize and make it as succinct as possible. I broke it out into 3 chunks. We'll look at reading, then we'll look at math, and then we'll look at social emotional learning. So to begin with our reading tests, we have 3 different areas we look at, which is our testing. That is our state testing that we do. The thing to remember about that is we do it in the spring, but we didn't have this year's data until the following year. Then we have NWA math, as you're familiar. This is taken 3 times a year with our district, and then American Reading Company, which is ongoing and does have moving targets for our students. Those targets move more frequently with our younger students because those foundational skills are more, they're more apt to moving through those quicker than we do at the higher level skills. So on our very first test, we have IAR, so this is comparison from spring of 22 to spring of 2023. Like I said, it's a year, and I was like, okay, IAR is going to Texas. So we did see a 4% increase in our students who are approaching or partially met, which is about 45 scholars that have seen an increase overall as a district moving. Then we have NWA gap, and the way that I wrote this one down, the easiest way to read it is the diamond, the gold diamond in the middle, is the grade level norm projected growth as set by MET. The blue bar is the growth that we actually achieved. I tried to make it a little easier for us to see by adding the little arrows on the top. So the green arrows indicate that we either met or exceeded those growth targets, or the red ones where we were below those growth targets. As we can see in the area of reading, we had 2 grade levels that exceeded, and then we had 7 grade levels that we did not exceed for. And at this one, we are looking at fall of this year to spring of this year. Now, of course, anytime we're in curriculum, we look at this, the question then becomes why, and what else can we triangulate this data with? Thankfully, we did have IAR that substantiated a little bit, saying that there was increases there, and we do have ARC to look at as well. So please stop me if you have questions along the way, but otherwise, I'll keep going, and then if you wanna pause after reading, you can ask questions too. So when I say triangulate, the other area that we're gonna look at to kind of see like where the problems exist, or are we seeing this growth on all 3 areas? We're gonna go to the next slide, and that would be ARC. I'll dig in a little bit more with ARC because there's a few measurement pieces in there that we have to look at. In that top left box, we see that our ARC goal that we had in the SIP plans, as you're familiar, is that we wanted to see 47% of our students district-wide being proficient at their reading level with 90% accuracy. I put in here because I think longitudinal data is really what we have to look for, historical data. By the 23-24 school year, our actual is that we had 35 students reading at proficiency at 83% accuracy. Now, we know when we look at the goal, that didn't meet the goals. The question is, where did we start a year ago when we began with American Reading Company? And we actually started at a 22% proficiency and a 77% accuracy. So where does that leave us in terms of growth between last year and this year? A 13% increase in our students at proficiency and a 6% increase in accuracy, which therefore kind of leaves us with the understanding of by this coming school year, that our goal that we have at the top should be something we should be able to achieve if we continue that same progression rate of growth. Joe, I have a couple of slides in there that I wanted to skip, so if you don't mind skipping those, I updated them. That one we can stay on. So when we get into the district dashboard for ARC, not only are we looking at that one on the left-hand side that I just talked about, which is that proficiency of reading level of our students who are our English-only students, but in the center column, you'll see on target for the B-NEO reading level. These are our multilingual learners, or bilingual students in our grades K through 2. As we can see, from June of 2023 to June of 2024, there was a 33% increase of students who are in the NEO who are reading at proficiency or at the reading level. So definitely something to be excited and be celebrating. And then on that right-hand side, you'll see at the top of our June 2023, 8.5% of students were reading on target for reading practice as compared to this year's 23.6. So an increase of 15.1%. So overboard, like over the board here with ARC, we're seeing that there's progressive growth in all of those areas. And when I mentioned reading practice, it is the number of minutes the students are reading per day, which correlates to, we know that higher reading proficiency has much to do with how often the students are reading. And a big part of that is reading things that they love. So I don't know if there's any way to get in a little bit bigger on this one or zoom in a little bit, Joe. But I wanted to break it down for you a little bit more K through 2, 3, 5, and 6, 8, because we do see that those trends are different between those grade levels. This is going to be an overall comparison. Let's look at a little bit going on here between last year and this year, and our students were reading at an emergency, at-risk, or proficient. I know I spoke a lot about the proficient, but I think it's important to know where we are in the emergency and at-risk as well. So I'm going to draw your attention to the bottom 2 rows. I think this is the easiest way to look, because this is going to talk about all of our K through 2 students overall. That first line is 2023. So for example, if we go all the way across, Joe, to like that emergency level, we see that there were 206 students, for 37.4% of our students on the last day of last school year that were still reading at the emergency level. An emergency level would mean 2 grade levels or more below what their current grade level is. At the end of this school year, if we look at the box just below, we have 82 students for 14.9% of students who are reading 2 or more grade levels below at that K through 2 level. So ultimately, what we want to continue to see happening in our ARC data is that the emergency level continues to lessen, and then we see a little bit more at the at-risk, because they're probably not going to just go from the emergency all the way over to proficiency, but we'll see that gradual increase from emergency to at-risk to proficiency, which I think we can see at the K through 2 levels. They probably exceeded some of that because we see a lot of it there. Now we're looking at 3rd through 5th grade, and you'll notice the same exact trends along the bottom line. At the end of last year, emergency level, we have 34.1% of our students there, whereas this year we have 26.3%. And I know you have these in your packet, so please feel free to dig in deeper to any of the grade levels as well if you have specific grade level questions or wonderings. And then we'll move on to 6 through 8. And we see that same exact trend happening, whereas last year 42% at emergency and 30% at emergency this year. And the proficiency is the book earlier. The other part about ARC that we dig into a little bit more is reader engagement. And engagement is obviously the point of what you're actually enjoying about your reading. The dark blue lines are our 24 data, and the lighter blue lines are the 2023. So we can see that in the majority of our grade levels, we're finding that more of our students are also becoming engaged readers than we had seen in the past. The reading practice, I spoke a little bit more. This just differentiates it a little bit more down to grade levels. And again, does a little bit more of a comparison. What'll be really interesting for us now that we have 2 years to actually compare is why do we see that some grade level trends to be so much higher than others? So like fifth grade. For example, 30% compared to 5% a year ago. Why 5th grade in particular, but we don't see 3rd and 4th the same, even though same schools. So I think for us, it's nice to have some comparative data to really look at now and dig into why we're seeing these trends the way they are. This is more specifically speaking to our bilingual students who are in grades K through 2. And I broke this out a little bit differently, just to try and get it all on one graph so you can see. At the bottom, we're talking about proficiency level in kindergarten, or I should say in any of the grade levels when you look at the blue. You'll see the at-risk is yellow and emergency is red. Now, I do want to note for this one specifically, because the first thing you're probably going to jump to the same way that I do is why 2nd grade have so much of the red. And the reason why is because during the second grade school year, we actually transition our students from that Spanish speaking to then the English speaking, so they actually take a different test. So when we're looking at kindergarten and first grade, that is spring data. When you're looking at second grade, that is only halfway through the school year data. So we actually have to look at the ERLA data, which is the English test for them that they're at, in order to see what the trajectory is for our second grade students in particular. And I don't know, you want to jump in, Matt? Okay, so we want to make sure. So we also have talked about how we have multiple students and we have a higher number, an increasing number of students who are duly identified, meaning that not only do they have an IEP, but they're also bilingual students or multilingual students. And right now, we're going to start tracking that data so we have the comparisons as we have from years past on other data. But as of right now, it's just one data point from this school year. But at least gives us that count of the number of duly identified students on target for ERLA. So this means that reading at proficiency level right now. This would be the same duly identified students who are now, this is our at-risk level or that level area or the yellow area we spoke of earlier, and then the emergency. I do want to draw attention to the fact that what we see on these graphs or these trends is that the higher and longer that our students are in the programs, the higher the numbers tend to be. And we recognize that across the board too. And I think we spoke, I know I've been gone the last 2 months for professional development, so I haven't been here, but the whole idea of having those reading interventionists or specialists at the K-2 level, I think this substantiates that argument very well, because we know that that early intervention makes a difference, because the longer our students have without the interventions that they need, the harder it is for us to try and help support that gap. And then also broke this out by special students who receiving light needs. That's not mine, is it? Sorry, I was gonna say, please turn it off, but it is. Never know what I set for a reminder on there for my child. So these are our students. We'll do the same thing for our students who are not just duly identified, but those with IEPs. We'll be keeping an eye on that content count. So a year from now, we'll be able to have that comparison for you on where they are at. And if our numbers have continued to stay the same or move forward, but these are the students at proficiency level for ERLA right now. And then we have at risk. I'm not sure how that one got identified in 5th grade, how that came into that term, but we must identify some things somewhere incorrectly. And then our students who are in this. And I know this is a very important topic for us because we have been identified and targeted for these areas by the state and through our testing. And so it's going to be very imperative that we keep an eye on where these numbers are and what our programs are doing to support them specifically with those needs. So overall for ELA, just to pull out some strengths, we have some primary foundational skills. We're seeing a very strong amount of growth in those K-2 areas. Our accuracy rates for ERLA and ENEAL have increased across the board, and the reading stamina of our students, and that's why we're doing these higher reading steps. Opportunities for growth is really about more collaborative planning in our PLC work, to continue to build pedagogy and our continuum of literacy, identifying barriers to growth. And I think for us, we're doing some of this in our task force for. And a lot of that SLT planning is what are those things that are getting in the way. Improving reading practice at home. I know that we've discussed a lot about how do we create more of those partnerships and what do we need to do to support support families in the work. And just getting those power goals, something that I also learned about it. All right, now we go through math. We have the same 2 tests of IAR and NWA, and then we have our iReady diagnostic. So IAR, we saw a 5% increase of students meeting or approaching, which is 75 scholar, an even greater increase than we saw with ELA. And then with NWA, this is a little bit more exciting because we see a lot more of that green, where only 2 grade levels actually did not meet or work. And as we can see, 2nd and 8th grade, even though they did not meet the projected growth, they are right there on the cusp of it. So to try and explain this top one up here on the left side of the blue bar, it is saying that we had 100% was our mean of students who hit their annual typical growth. And of course, our annual typical growth is they're meeting exactly what they need to be doing to stay on pace for grade level. And then if we look at that bottom, you'll see the top bar is actually our spring benchmark, and then the one right underneath it is fall. And you can see the amount of growth. If you actually go to the very bottom, so right underneath where it says 389 students, it'll tell you exactly what number of students we started out with and to where they are now. So for example, our students who are at mid or above grade level, we started out with 66 students there, and now we're at 389 students. And so on for each of the other areas. So we definitely see that there is growth happening throughout the school year in our diagnostic results from that. The other thing that we also measure is stretch growth. So we talked a little bit about typical growth. Stretch growth is what we want to try and achieve for those who are either already at grade level or more behind. And that breaks it down a little bit more of how many students and what percentage of them are actually hitting that stretch growth. So more than a year's growth in 1 year's time. And it's increased from 1 year to the next. I won't dig in too deep with this, but I did want to break down each of the multilingual identified students on where they were in the fall as to where they are in the spring. And again, because this is another area we've identified as an opportunity for growth. So we do see that continued trend of K through 2 has the highest level of growth, 3 through 5 that median amount, and then our same thing happens when we get to the higher levels of 6 through 8. We don't see quite as much growth because now we're trying to make up so much more time in learning. And then after multilingual, we also have it broken down for students with IEPs. And again, seeing trends there. So our strengths is that 5 grade levels exceeded typical growth in reviewing math. We also see that our domain strengths in specific are numbers and operations and algebra and algebraic thinking. We more than tripled our students at or above grade level from fall to spring in the iReady diagnostic. We know that collaborative planning is not just for ELA, it is an opportunity for growth in math. And then we kind of have to dig in a little bit more to grades 2, 5, and 8 to figure out what specifically is getting in the way for us there. And we are looking at more of that provided embedded coaching at point of need versus just having everybody receives the same professional development as what do we need to do to differentiate, just like we would for students, for the adults who are teaching those grade levels. And support across grade continuum for students with IEPs and MLLs, which we kind of talked about already earlier. All right, we're getting close. Here's the SEL data. We're right here at the end. So panorama grades 3 through 5, I just tried to really make a comparison for you from where we were in spring of 23 to spring of 24, and just tell you in nice big green numbers what increases we've seen and decreases we've seen. Thankfully, over the 4th and 3rd through 5th, we have seen increases in all areas, and a significant increase, or most significant increase was in our teacher-student relationships, which is something we have really tried to zero in and focus on when it comes to culture and well-being of students need to connect with adults. And grades 6 through 8, a little bit more work to do here. We didn't see any significant declines. We didn't see any major increases either. So this has been an area for sure we've identified is our middle school, and how do we build those connections for our middle schoolers? How do we build those coping skills? How do we build those self-management skills? And really build that sense of belonging for them in a time when they probably need it the most. However, I do want to bring up that even though some of our areas, like for example, growth mindset is at 54%, we're still in 60th to 79th percentile in comparison to national norms. I always like that we get those national norms because sometimes we put those Berkeley blinders on, and it's like, no, we're comparing ourselves to middle schoolers across the rest of the nation. But also self-management, even though it's up at 67%, when we compare, we're only at the 20th to 39%. So what work do we need to do there to increase those areas? And then our last one, K through 2, we saw increase in emotion and regulation and self-management. But this one definitely threw me off to see the 11% decrease in social awareness, and really wondering, that's a pretty significant decrease to usually see. You don't usually see that within 1 year worth of time. So I want to spend a little bit more time on this one. What's most interesting about our K through 2 survey is that it's actually reported by the teachers. So for me, I feel like it gives us an opportunity for some conversations with the teachers specifically saying, hey, we saw an 11% decrease. We obviously see something across the board within our district when it comes to social awareness of our primary kiddos.
Can that be a typo?
Could it
Be a typo, like in your, that's such a big number.
It is, and it's definitely makes you want to investigate a little bit more important, because you don't usually, like I said, you don't usually see that significant of a change with a little. And we have actually changed our panoramic survey a couple times in the most recent years, just to change the questioning and to make sure that it's actually in alignment to what we're seeing now. I think the COVID survey versus like now we're a little bit farther out, so the questions have been changing. I wonder too what the influences of that. But for sure, we are digging into it. So overall district trends is that we saw, a lot of increase from one year to the next year. In growth mindset and emotion regulation, we're in the 80th to 90th, 99th percentile compared nationally. Those have been areas of focus. So it goes to show when you invest the time in some areas, you see the results with it, but it also reminds me you can't work on all the things at one time too. So where do we need to focus next? Because I think we're ready to move on in some of those. We discussed the social awareness, and the sense of belonging is definitely a district-wide push, and definitely going to be coming from the restorative practices work and PD training that we have going on for all staff. Okay, we made it through all of that. Are there any other questions you've got or anything that came to mind?
I do have a question. So our kids that are in that emergency category, as far as what is the plan for the 24-25 school year? Like, as far as the schedule, could we group them together in each building so that they're all under extra care by the teacher? And then I'm also thinking teacher shortage, to make sure that those kids are getting that little extra nourishing, the ones that are in our emergency level.
So the positive with the art programming is that it actually allows us to, or encourages us to have at least 3 meetings with small groups or one-on-one with them if they've been identified in that emergency level. So I think when we go back to when we looked at that emergency level at the beginning, we saw wow, it's pretty significant. We've seen that decrease. My hope is that as we continue to have these high level frequency one-on-one or small group meetings with these students who are already behind, we'll see that gap continually close. And then I do think strategic placing with teachers is a part of it. We always want to be careful though that we want students to be able to be grouped a little heterogeneously and have those opportunities to learn from peers. And that's great for their language structures, this course, and then academic structures as well. And then the reading interventionists, or if they're a student with an IEP or an MLL, they will also get additional doses of other supports from them beyond just the classroom teacher. Mrs. Travis, do you also have anything to add?
Yes, we kind of talked about it, but we're trying to add additional reading specialist teachers. And the primary goal is an intermediate. So we're trying to, they all have one, and we're trying to add a second to them. So we need 4. I've been in contact with 2 great candidates. I'm trying to get the others. So yeah, we're very close. Yeah, we're trying. And what we're telling the 2 that we're interested in is that if we do not get 4, there's a possibility they may have to service 2. But we're really trying to get 4. So I believe that we're trying to get.
And then that ongoing, the early assessment is truly ongoing. So we continue to be able to see, whereas before it was NWEA or just classroom testing, you kind of had to wait a little bit of time to see, other than the formative assessments you already have in the classroom, how much growth is taking place. It's pretty consistent on, okay, this is a gap area. How do we fill that? How do we support that? Versus NWEA 3 times a year substantiating just that with learning.
Is there any chance, when I look at vacancies we have right now, for new ELA teachers coming in, for them to kind of take the reins on moving this forward, so we don't get numbers that, that go back, is our district resources to for the new teachers to okay, this is our program, this is what we need, what do you need from us, let's get our numbers up.
Yeah, so they will actually, especially when it comes to our ELA programming, they have 2 full days during their onboarding for Teacher Institute, and then they have 1 full day of math. as I mentioned, the mentoring program that also partners them with the tenure staff. So we're really trying to figure out like what are all the ways I can support, because it is also, I want to recognize the heavy lift of learning it is on any new teacher that comes in to learn the programming in any district. So what do we need to do on our part to make sure that they get successful with that?
Have we done reading fairs?
There's tell me a little bit more.
So with this, my kids' primary school, they would do, the teachers or some of the parents would do reading fairs in each classroom. So let's say in the kindergarten classroom, they would pick a book. And instead of just reading it, they would kind of act it out and the kids would interact with the reader. And so at the end of the night, that kid might say, Mom, I want this book. And then that book was $5 or whatever the cost was. And they had that book to be able to go home and read because they were engaged. So they did that from like first, I think, fourth or fifth grade. And it seemed to be pretty successful.
So I think we probably have a couple of similar things that we do. They do the readers theater where they're orienting out a little bit more about that, more specifically about some tasks that they're doing. And they can do that a lot of times in their small groups when they're doing it. They also do at the end of our unit, they present everything that they've learned. So I'll even show you a picture in the little collage I got from the last couple of months that I've been seeing out and sharing the pictures. But they actually teach their colleagues, talking about it like they teach their peers in their classroom about what they've learned, and they actually teach not only their peers, but they present to the parents, they present to us. And then the other thing I know that they've done is they've done like these book tastings where they read just like I've actually seen it done really cute where they put out like picnic tables and the flowers in the middle, and there's a pile of books, and it's all like a certain genre. And then the kids get to go, they do like a timed amount of time and they sit there and they get to read a chapter or the back cover of the book, and they get to do a book tasting, and then they write a little bit about it. And they figure out which books are of most interest to them. ARC also has something called cookbooks, and it's for our students who are tend to be a little bit more like they're not necessarily as engaged, but they can come hard, or maybe they're just not finding like a genre that kind of stands out to them. So they have these books which are like research based to be like well liked by that student, either grade level or their early level, and it allows them to explore some of those books and gives the teacher another basket to get some recommendations from. But it sounds very similar to what you're sharing. So some deviations of this.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Do that. Anything else? Okay.
Great job.
Thank you, but I just wanted to share some fun, wonderful pictures. There's been a lot to catch up on in the last couple of months. I had the privilege of attending Camp Duncan with both Riley and Sunnyside. As you can see, we had some really awesome, I could not believe how many students actually reached the top of this climbing wall. And as you can see, they're pretty ecstatic on their way down. The second picture was actually our 5th grade wax museum. So in unit 4, they do the Civil War era. And so Sunnyside actually did a wax museum where they dressed up as the characters they researched. And then they were able to present to families. And they had to talk about it as if they were that person, which was a lot of fun. And some of them, as you can see, really got into it. I think that's one of our band uniforms. I thought that was a pretty clever way of utilizing that. Then we have our Whittier Mustangs on that top right. They were having a blast at their field day. The bottom left is actually some of our Jefferson students in their unit 4. They learned about different occupations that they wanted to study. And so we had surgeons, we had veterinarians, we have teachers. My favorite part was I'm like, oh, I want to be a teacher when you grow up. And when the students was like, no way, that's way too much work. Okay, noted. At least we learned what we don't want to be later on in life. Then in the middle one at the bottom is Sunnyside doing a team course challenge. And our bottom right, summer school has been off to a great start. As you know, we have embraced the camper thing pretty strong, and it has been really awesome. We have our highest number of students in participation and our highest level of staff participation with over 180 on the south side and over 140 on the north side. So it's been very exciting to see that. And one of my favorite parts about it is the house system, where we partner up our smallest students with our older students, and they're mixed together, grades K through 8. And just watching them work together is by far a rewarding in itself. So it's been wonderful being a part of it.
Thank you for your pictures. I love your pictures.
You bet. I mean, it's always hard to figure out what to say, so I'll share. All right, any other questions?
When the next update?
Next update, I'll be here next month. All right, thank you.
Good job.
Yeah.
And thank you for sustaining.
Okay. So just a few more things in the curriculum. Okay, good. So, as Dr. Mozanik and Mrs. Hennigan were just talking about, a lot of our school improvement efforts are related to the school improvement plan. And we asked that the Board of Education approve the school improvement plans for the 2024-2025 school year as presented.
We get a motion. Ms. Morrow and Ms. Mason, roll call please.
Hightower,
Aye.
Mason. Aye. Mora,
Aye.
Espinosa,
Aye.
Walker. Aye. Motion carried.
And in terms of the oral report for curriculum, on behalf of Dr. Spatafor, the school improvement teams will also be meeting this summer. And their focus is going to be on special education pathways. And as Dr. Mysanik just talked about, we are having growth throughout our district. Now we're striving to get to grade level. And in particular, our children with special needs and multilingual need to make sure that they are receiving not only the resources that they need, but the access to the excellent instruction that they need. So she's getting all the special education teachers together this summer that she can get to do some strategic planning for the team. Also, Mrs. Dr. Spatafor and Mr. White have been working on school safety. And they are going to be presenting some information as a suggested policy revision in July, which is to adjust the number of drills that we have in our safety drills. So we'll talk about that in July. Also, Dr. Spatafor has been working with the social emotional teams in each of our schools for the behavior threat assessment management. So that is when there is a behavior issue in school to do a threat assessment. And that's often working with the first responders as well as all the other community resources that we have. So she's been working on that. And then also Dr. Spatafor has been providing leadership for ongoing refinement of our residency verification. So those are some updates. So that is all we got for curriculum, unless there are any other questions.
Excellent. Any questions? Questions? It's next.
The summary of budget, statement of position, and the student activity reports for the period ending May 31, 2024 are provided in your packet for your review. The budget hearing earlier this evening, I shared that we would be presenting it for board action. So the suggested motion is that the Board of Education adopt the resolution for the adoption of the amended budget for fiscal year 2024 as presented.
I get a motion. Ms. Moore and Ms. Walker, roll call please.
Walker.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And then the next couple are annual actions we bring to the board. The suggested motion is that the Board of Education approve the food service department milk vendor contract for the 2024-2025 school year as presented.
Get a motion. Ms. Walker, Ms. Espinosa, roll call please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And then the Board of Education approved the Nutritional Services Department towel services vendor contract for the 2024-2025 school year pending attorney review as presented.
Get a motion. Ms. Espinosa, Ms. Walker, roll call please.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And I presented to the board last month, we shared about transferring funds from operations and maintenance to the capital projects funds. This shift will provide funding for future projects. I know that Mr. White and Ms. Stachek will be working on capital projects list to present to the board. When we did the HVAC equipment at Jefferson and Whittier last summer, we were not able to do the mezzanines. We had that as an alternate, but we weren't sure what the cost would be. And so we held off on the mezzanine units, but did the rest of the replacement. So that is just one of the projects that could come up in the list. And this transfer that I'll present to the board will help provide funding for that. So the suggested motion is that the Board of Education adopt the resolution authorizing the transfer of monies from the Operation Maintenance Fund to the Capital Projects Fund as presented.
Your motion, Ms. Moore? And Ms. Walker, roll call please.
Mason.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And the next couple are required due to the transition. So we're asking the board to adopt the resolution to appoint the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund authorized agent as presented.
Your motion? Ms. Moore and Ms. Walker, roll call please.
Mora.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Mason. Motion carried.
And then with the change of positions a couple years ago, I also am updating the positions on the check signers so that the Board of Education adopt the resolution authorizing the student activity and interest fund checking account signers as presented.
Motion? Ms. Walker and Ms. Espinosa, roll call please.
Mason.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And a few months back, Mr. Berg presented information on the upgrades and the implementation to the Skyward Q platform, which that has been underway, and Dr. Sullivan did sign off on the contract to keep it moving. So this request is just for the board to ratify that contract agreement. So the suggested motion is that the Board of Education ratify the Skyward upgrade and migration agreement as presented.
Your motion? Ms. Espinosa and Ms. Walker, roll call please.
Hightower.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And the last is a transition, that the Board of Education appoint Irene Dachek as the board member to the Suburban School Cooperative Insurance Pool and the School Employees Loss Fund effective July 1, 2024.
I get a motion? Ms. Moore, Ms. Walker, roll call please.
Walker.
Aye.
Espinosa.
Aye.
Mora.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hightower.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Just before you get your report. Ms. Dawson, you come up here. Okay. I'll give you all report after one of the parts.
I'm sorry.
I'll give you all report after she gives hers. So you can sit right there.
So I wanted to share, do a little brag that Marcus Shelton, our nutritional services director, was contacted and to be a presenter at the ANC conference in July. And I'll just read what they had sent. We're looking for leaders in the school food service space to partner with us and help educate and inspire others across the country. You are considered a leader among your peers, and we'd be honored to have you present with us. So kudos to Mr. Shelton, and so he'll be attending that conference and presenting next month. And then I wanted to share that Irene and I have been having several transition meetings. We've met with PMA, Mesro Financial, Vanguard. We have another follow-up with Vanguard tomorrow. We have a meet and greet set up with the vendor, one of the Morgan Services, which is a towel vendor that you just approved tonight. And we're just trying to do that transition so everybody business as usual. We won't skip a beat. And then last Thursday, I was able to host the SKIP executive board meeting. Normally Gallagher hosted at their office site, but we were able to host it here and follow it up with a tour of Sunnyside MacArthur. And we had a lot of compliments. Everybody was just amazed on the building. A couple districts asked, how did you get that referendum passed? So, a big thank you to the community, to the board members that were on those long range planning committees, the staff that attended those meetings and helped with the pre-referendum work, getting the word out. That's how we passed it. So compliments to everybody. And then the interim audit work was completed earlier this month. Final field work is scheduled in August. And then I just wanted to take a chance, if I could get through this. I just want to thank the board. And Dr. Smith. For taking a chance on me. And I certainly hope you were proud of what I've done for the board. It's been a blessing to be part of the District 87 family. And an honor and privilege to serve this community. This is much harder than I thought. I just want to thank the board for your dedication to the community, the staff, the students, the families. You really dedicate a lot of your time. And we know there's no paycheck with that. And it shows the district appreciates it. And I am really grateful for all that you do. The opportunities you provide for all of us, the students and the staff, our families. And I just want to say I truly enjoyed my time here and I wish continued success to the district and the community. So thank you very much.
Ms. Vince, on behalf of the board, you're gonna be hard to replace. That's why we put our ring on the front street here. I hope the public can listen. This is gonna be a change of guard. You're gonna be thorough in this. You brought a lot of opportunities to the board. I remember I've been a senior employee, maybe on the board. I remember when you first came on board, you know, and you have brought so much to this board, in this district that's we would never be able to pay for. So thank you. And Irene, big shout out to you. Not gonna say you got big shoes to fill. You got big shoes to fill. Down on you, take the Lord's legacy and move forward. So thank you. Lord, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That is the end of my report. Thanks.
That's it. All right, we're going to give you the opportunity to pick up the student. Give us your.
Mrs. Benson and I have been working late many nights trying to get through the transition. She has been amazing and continuing to work hard until her final day here. I miss you very much, and we all are. We are working on planning and budgeting and continue to work with our auditors. We have a state audit going on now also that we're trying to work through. And we're working with your appraisers as well. So it's been a very busy month. It went by very fast. And we're going to miss you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving right along. All right, Mr. Burner. Yeah, you also. Thank you. Where you take it forward? Fire. This
Okay, that's no problem. All right, see, I told them I was gonna be partner, so that we get here. I'll just give you an update. I know I've been telling you we're working on it, but tonight I said I'll start giving you the numbers. So we do have 27 certified vacancies and 15 support staff vacancies. So we are working on them, but that's where we're currently are. And 4 district-wide substitutes. One of our district-wide substitutes is becoming a teacher we've had a couple like that, so that's always a good thing. She's becoming a teacher, she's gonna be an amazing teacher, very active for her. So then that creates an opening. Update on the hiring season. Some candidates, like I said, it's like we get a few, and then in certain areas, we don't get enough. Special education, we are not getting enough. But Mr. Tour and I, we attended the ISFA virtual career fair, gave us access to about 600 or 700 resumes. So her and I, we've been tag teaming going in there, reviewing resumes in areas that we need and sharing them out. So once we review them, we share them out with all the other administrators, but we call them first and just let them know we have this vacancy. If they're interested, then they have to complete an application. After the virtual career fair, some of the people that her and I talked to, they came, they applied for positions, they emailed me. So it, really went well. We're very excited, about it. I think we even hired a couple, but we had more interview with us than we actually, were able to recruit. But it was a great fair, and we're still utilizing the resources, their resumes, and just reaching out to people. Wanted to say, continuing to give everyone tours that come in. And then Dr. Sullivan just happens to walk through when I'm onboarding someone. So I'm giving him an opportunity as superintendent to meet them. And they are excited, they're nervous, but excited, to meet them as they go on board. So that's been great too, just so that they can meet, Dr. Sullivan. And then if their principals are around or assistant principals, say, look, who's, meeting with me to sign employee paperwork. So we're continuing to still try to recruit people, no fairs, here recently, but just talking to everyone and trying to tell everyone, tell a friend, let someone know. And hopefully we continue to improve. I reached out to a colleague prior to our meeting. I just said, how is your hiring season going? And she's in a neighboring district, and she said, Travis, oh my goodness, it is not going well. I said, keep the faith, and we'll both, keep trying. But it is a lot, a lot of vacancies. So we'll keep trying and trying to promote different things. And Mr. Byrne, I want to talk to you about us with LinkedIn and recruiting through that avenue as well. Yes. Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Travis? Hard work. Artists. Okay, Mrs. Byrne.
Thank you. It's amazing. We're almost into July already. We are getting devices in to deploy for next school year. We have about 1,000 devices to go to students and staff. So we're working on getting those prepared for the August new school year. This Friday, we're getting the new copier fleet that was approved a few months ago. So we're excited about that. Whittier and Jefferson, a lot of work going on in those two schools, specifically to get that up to speed where other 4 schools are now, improve networks, make access points, as Ann Critta mentioned before, getting their gym space up to date with AV equipment, projectors, some wireless equipment. As Ms. Finn said, our transition from Skyward to the new platform is underway, so we're getting ready to migrate about 10 years of data to the new platform, making sure we're ready to go. Returning student online enrollment, new student online enrollment at the start of the school year. And then working with Mrs. Travis to get a position that the board approved last month, posted, and then starting the hiring staff. So we're excited about that as well.
Any good applicants?
Pardon?
Any good applicants?
We were just posting it now, so we have not reviewed anything yet.
It's being posted in the morning.
Pardon me?
It's being posted in the morning.
Okay. Great, thank you. So I'll check back. It's short. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any questions? No further questions. Mr. White, hold on, sir.
Good. Mr. Critta went over most of the facility items tonight, but one thing I wanted to add was now that our major construction is over and our HVAC issues have stabilized, I've reached out to our comment rep to get an updated energy assessment. So that usually takes a few months, next year comment comes in and there's sub companies. And they evaluate all kinds of things like electrical, lighting, plumbing, boiler system. They make suggestions for any improvements. And they help with like grants and other items like that. So when that report's finished, I'll update you with those suggestions. Those suggestions can help us plan future projects,
So, any questions on the board? No questions. All right, any other new business? Okay, we're gonna go into a closed session, a second closed session, so. We would. And we will be. Got another activity I have to do. My friend Francis. Whatever next evening. Next board meeting. Mr. Carlos not here, so July 27th.
Yes.